I always loved the creek that ran along my property. It wasn't much, just a gentle stream weaving through the land, but it defined the ecosystem of the neighborhood. Birds nested there, fish swam in its pools, and the gentle babble of water provided the perfect soundtrack to my otherwise quiet life. That is, until Karen and her HOA decided they needed the land more than the creek did. One morning, I drove down the lane to find heavy machinery lined up along the water. Bulldozers, cement mixers, and a group of HOA workers were filling my creek with concrete. Karen, clipboard in hand, was supervising like a general overseeing troops. "We're improving the property value," she declared proudly. I stared in disbelief. They were literally destroying a natural waterway for the sake of aesthetics. I called the HOA office immediately. "You can't fill in a creek on someone else's land," I said. The receptionist sputtered, clearly unprepared for confrontation. Karen, of course, answered personally and tried to placate me. "Oh, it's just a small adjustment. Trust me, you'll see how much nicer it looks when we're done." I didn't trust her. I had seen enough of her antics to know that small adjustment was always code for chaos. By the next week, the creek was gone, replaced by a hardened slab of concrete. The HOA smiled, thinking they had solved a problem, but they hadn't considered hydrology or physics. During the first heavy rain, water pooled in the area, unable to drain properly. Their million-dollar homes, once perched safely on what they thought was solid ground, began to sit in a swampy quagmire. Lawns turned to mud, driveways flooded, and basements filled with water. I didn't intervene directly. Nature and negligence were handling that beautifully. The HOA's calls and frantic emails flooded my inbox, but I simply documented everything. I had photographic evidence of the original creek, the destruction, and the resulting flooding. Karen's smug smile turned into panic as she realized the consequences of her own hubris. Neighbors began noticing the damage too. "I don't understand," one complained at a community meeting. "The HOA did everything by the book." Karen tried to speak, but every word was met with derision. They had filled in a creek for aesthetics, ignoring environmental laws and proper drainage regulations. Their improvements had backfired spectacularly. By the next month, the once pristine neighborhood was partially underwater. The HOA tried to salvage the situation with pumps, temporary ditches, and engineering reports, but the damage was done. Their million-dollar homes now sat in soggy, unstable ground, proof that arrogance and disregard for natural systems rarely go unpunished. Meanwhile, I walked along the surviving edges of my property, smiling at the irony. Karen and her HOA had assumed ownership of nature itself, but they had failed to anticipate consequences. They had turned their own pride into a literal swamp, and there was nothing they could do to reverse it without massive expense and legal oversight. The lesson was clear. Tampering with the environment for ego or aesthetics can be catastrophic. Karen thought she could shape the land to her whims, but the land and the creek had its own rules. In the end, I didn't need to lift a finger. The consequences of her arrogance spoke for themselves. I still enjoy my property, walking along the remnants of the creek, the water flowing peacefully where it should. Across the neighborhood, Karen's million-dollar homes sit half-submerged, a sobering monument to hubris, ignorance, and the fact that nature always finds a way to reclaim what belongs to it. Character count: 5,112 white heavy check mark.